You have reached the Vantage Point with Michael Vail. Expanding horizons, elevating perspective, engaging today's leaders from fields as diverse as geopolitics, law, medicine, and technology, in penetrating interview and debate, allowing you to see all the forces that shape events around the world.
Oh yes, we are alive. Welcome to the Vantage Point, your geopolitical panoramic view, getting out and above the fray to look at things from a fresh perspective, and hopefully that is the purpose of the show, as we are doing our very best to bring you cutting-edge information, analysis, and so much more. On the show with me here, coming up at the 5, Popeye from FederalJack.com will be rolling with me for the next 2 hours. And got a lot of interesting news that you won't hear anywhere else. A lot of so-called elite economists now say that a temporary default of the U.S., we're talking sovereign default, will be just fine. Well, they said that, and then China, India, Saudi Arabia, etc., said, I don't think so. And look up sovereign default. Basically what it is that due to the issue of the Republicans and Democrats and the debt ceiling and it not going anywhere temporarily, they cannot take on more debt. They cannot borrow more money. And at this point, they cannot pay their obligations. The interest, let alone the principal. Oh yeah, it's usury. We're going to break that down here when Popeye comes on here. But there are tons of things to discuss. And this seems to be somewhat of a meme today. Spies in school hunt fanatics. Doctors asked to spot patients at risk from radicalization. Teachers asked to inform on terror students. People being arrested for handing out food. Climate eco-Nazi says, triple the price of gas to save the planet. Oh my gosh. Hong Kong brainwashing for the kiddies. I mean, geesh. U.S. universities in Africa land grab. Thailand to deploy 100,000 police for the election. What sort of election are you going to have when you have 100,000 police in your face at polling places? I really don't know. And, of course, a little bit of information came out by the Bank of International Settlements about how we're still tied in with these damned credit default swaps and tied into Greece, Ireland, Portugal, Spain. Didn't we learn our lesson the first time when we fell into the Depression around 2005, 6, or 7, or 8, or 9, or 10, 11? Did we learn our lesson from the credit default swaps? No, we're doing the very same thing. They got us into the problem. We're doing it again. And the Bank of International Settlements released an Excel spreadsheet with all the data on how we have basically been running these European countries into the ground, especially Greece, privatizing everything, buying land tracts, buying islands, etc., etc. And Oman and other nations say that the risk of U.S. default on debt raised. They're not sure what the hell to do. A ton of stuff, a ton of information, a plethora, and also your moment of idiocracy. It's going to be a long segment of idiocracy. Stay tuned. Popeye from FederalJack.com. Coming up on the other side. Phone lines wide open if you want to get a part of it. 1-866-841-1065. Stay tuned. Vantage Point Radio. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Vantage Point, your geopolitical panoramic view. As I'm glad to be here, and very chipper mood, besides my usual jaded, angry self. Good friend of mine on the show with me, and he does a great radio show on Orion Radio Network. Popeye for Federal Jack does Down the Rabbit Hole. Popeye, man, welcome to the show.
What's up, Mike?
It has been a while since we hung out together on this show, or any other shows for that matter. We've done a few, done some Unleashed and such.
Yeah, we just haven't had a chance to hang out. We've been so busy, man. You know how it is. All the craziness going on in this world today.
Oh, hell yeah, man. I mean, my news feed here is just full of it. Just tons and tons I'll never, ever get through. And I want to let people know that I've been writing a series of articles on the works of Jacques Ellul, a New World Order sociologist, anarchist, Christian, etc., etc. And this guy is like the French version of Zbigniew. I mean, he really has his finger on the pulse. And probably Monday or Tuesday coming out with an article, a second article in the series on that. But man, we got so much to discuss. Let's just go through it slowly. And I'll try not to get angry. I promise. I lie, because I will get angry. Now, this is a good one from the Independent UK. Doctors asked to spot patients at risk from Islamic radicalization. Like, who the hell asked doctors to do that? But I digress.
That'd be DHS.
Yeah, well, for the UK's version of that, which is the same thing, you know, the government, the Ministry of Love, Ministry of Truth, etc., etc., says here, doctors are being drafted into the fight against terrorism by being asked to identify patients at risk from being drawn into violent extremism. The controversial move will be spelled out today by the Home Secretary, Theresa May, as she publishes the government's much-delayed strategy for combating extremism. Plans to ask medical professions to alert authorities about people vulnerable to radicalization will alarm doctors' groups and fears it will erode patient confidentiality. Well, obviously it already has. It says here, this so-called prevent strategy will also promise a drive against the spread of hardline Islamic teaching in prisons, which also are often targeted by extremists as recruiting grounds. And, of course, everything is radicalization. I mean, I've seen news articles where they say that if you're a conspiracy theorist, you need to be given a vaccine, that will regulate your brain and so you won't come up with these crackpot theories. I mean, talked about this on this very show. And so now, everything is terrorism. Everything is radicalization. If you wear blue jeans, you have a pocket constitution, you're a libertarian, you like freedom. You like to go where you want to go and live where you want to live and do what you want to do. You're now a terrorist. Popeye, what's your opinion on that, man?
Well, Werner von Braun talked about this. We just talked about this on my show. Von Braun, former head of NASA, first head of NASA, Nazi war criminal, he told the secretary, and she wrote all this down, and she's been interviewed by Jim Fetzer and numerous other people, that the next wars were going to be war against communism, like hardcore war against communism, which we had. And then after that, we were going to have the war on terrorism and terrorists. And then we were going to have the war on terrorist states, which you've heard Iran be classified as and North Korea classified as. And then after that, it's going to be a war on asteroids. And then the final card is the war on aliens to create the one world government, kind of like Independence Day. So, I mean, it's progressively leading up to that. So the creepy things that von Braun said, when you look at this war on terrorism, Nick Rockefeller told Aaron Russo about it, before 9/11, and said they were going to be running around, having soldiers run around looking for guys in caves that don't exist. We're looking for the boogeyman under the bed, Mike. Ooh, Bin Laden's in your closet. Now Bin Laden's dead. Now you got Adam Gadon conveniently coming out and saying, oh, go buy guns at gun shows because you can get fully automatic weapons at gun shows in America with no background check. Now that is a talking point memo from the anti-gun lobby. And here's this ADL Adam Gadon himself coming out and saying, go out and buy guns at gun show. First of all, let's get something straight. You can't get a fully automatic weapon at a gun show, and it's only semi-auto. And you do get a background check right there. And unless you have a permit to carry, you can't walk out of the gun show with it. You have to wait 5 days and do the 5-day background wait period and background check. So everybody goes through it. That's what happens. But the government would have you believe, even though they do background checks, that they don't. So.
Well, I mean, like you said, that's the big talking point. That's what they want you to think. And then you mentioned the whole idea, like I said, terrorism and all the stuff and radicalization and aliens. Matter of fact, the former Assistant Secretary General of the UN, Robert Mueller, wrote in a book called Paradise Earth, which you can go find and download the PDF for free. He said that the UN should be the head of planetary management because one day aliens will come down and tell us what a mess we made of the planet. He would also say that he also said that possibly those aliens would not be friendly. It's the same thing with Stephen Hawking and the rest of them said. But it's interesting. He also said that the idea of Star Trek Starfleet is something that the UN wants to create and the UN wants to be the head of, not just of the planetary management or maybe the galactic management and such. And like you said, everybody is a target in this system. It doesn't matter. You can get arrested for driving drunk people home for free or giving out free food. It's Napoleonic law. Everything is illegal.
How retarded of a state do we live in, Mike? I don't mean to interrupt you, but how retarded, to get on what you just said, people getting arrested for giving out food because the Orlando City Council in Orlando, Florida, said we don't want homeless people congregating. So rather than try to maybe make a shelter for them or try to do something positive for the homeless people, they just make it illegal to feed them. Well, how about one day when they're homeless?
You know what? This brings me back to an article I saw from 2008 where they actually had a sign in Las Vegas, "Do not feed the homeless." No joke. Matter of fact, I have to bring that up and post it on Twitter or something just for, just a early flashback. But like you said, these people are oblivious. They do not care. I mean, how is it that you don't look at regular human beings that might be homeless as like animals, as just like pathetic, and we want nothing to do with them? They're closing down shanty towns and tent cities around the country. They don't want to see it, okay, because it's bad PR for them.
Of course. They don't want... Look, the last thing they want is a shanty town in their city, because not only is it bad PR, but when it comes to bad PR, it's not like, oh, they're not taking care of it. It's, oh, we're going to drop our values of our homes.
Exactly.
We don't want the property value to drop, Mike. Come on.
Well, stick around, folks. We're going up to the break. Rudely interrupted, as always. Don't go anywhere. More Vantage Point Radio with Popeye and Federal Jack and myself, Michael Vail. Stay tuned.
Every day I'm hustling, every day